Grand Canyon, more like Bland Canyon. Welcome once again, Horned Frog Nation, to another edition of TCU Postgame Live with me, your host, Clint Foster, and we got another win to talk about here today. The Frogs dominate the Arizona Wildcats 49-28, and it was a dominant victory in every sense of the word, with the exception of a second quarter that was only so-so, but we'll get into all that. We'll talk about all of that and what the prognosis is for bowl season for the Frogs, who have, of course, been eliminated from Big 12 contention now. Sadly, not going to win a Big 12 title this year, as if we had any right to be playing for one in the first place. But a lot to get into. But first, I need you to do some things for me. First of all, please do subscribe to the show. Maybe you're watching this on our TCU channel. It's only got 4 subscribers right now. I looked at it today. We need to do some work on this TCU channel, y'all. We're trying to build this thing out. Once the season is over, I'm hoping to add a lot more other content to that TCU channel in conjunction with the Big 12 channel. So do subscribe to the TCU channel and subscribe to the Big 12 channel as well. It's Big 12, Voice of College Football. There it is right there on your screen. And what's the TCU channel's name? I don't know. Maybe it's TCU VOCFB, right? There you go. Subscribe to both of those. Also, do follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55. Follow my YouTube channel at Clint Foster Comedy. Check out the new, remember, the Alamo Bowl teaser I've got on there for you, my feature-length documentary that I'm working on right now. And hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, I will have TCU fans during the Arizona game for you there up on that channel as well. Also, hey, check us out on your favorite audio platform. You can catch both the Biggest 12, my Big 12 Tuesday night show, and TCU Postgame Live on your audio streaming platform of choice, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, you name it, it's there. If you want to watch this, listen to it on your commute, you can do that, right? You don't have to tune in live. I'd love for you to tune in live. It's a lot more fun if you tune in live, a lot more fun for me. And in a situation like this, where we have a call-in show, then you got to tune in live. If you want to call in, you want to be a part of the conversation. So hopefully that is something that you're interested in. But if not, check us out on your audio platform of choice as well. Speaking of call-in shows, one last piece of podcast business, if you will. Do check out the College Football Show with Mark Rogers, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That is a call-in show as well. Thursday, Friday, Saturday are his call-in shows. He does post-game shows late night on Saturday, Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Mark is the godfather of this whole Voice of College Football situation. You're going to want to tune into his stuff. If you like my stuff, you're going to love his stuff. So do that for sure. So let's talk a little bit about this Frogs win, right? Good stuff. Good stuff. TCU jumps out to an early lead. It was dicey there for a little while, right? It was a close game there in the second quarter. Second quarter was a little bit of a struggle bus for the Frogs, but they pull away big time in the second half, which is just completely dominant with the exception of the one fumble recovery for a touchdown. I believe it was Ken Seals that coughed up the ball, and Zone is able to house it. But, whether it's 49-21 or 49-28, I mean, that's Frogs covered the spread. Frogs hit the over. Beautiful thing all around. And here's the thing. I mean, is Arizona good? No. Okay, Arizona is not a good team. But neither is Houston, right? Neither particularly is UCF. Okay, and it's not been a foregone conclusion for the Frogs to dominate a team that they're significantly better than. This is an example of marked improvement by the Frogs, and I love to see it. It made me very happy to see the Frogs take control of a game, with one quarter notwithstanding, take control of a game and really exert their will against the Arizona Wildcats. So, we've come a long way, right? We've improved. Absolutely. Let me read you some of the stats here. Josh Hoover, decent day, 19 of 26, 252 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. We did get Jack Besh over 1,000 yards on the year. So Belitna Besh, hashtag Belitna Besh. Let's get that sucker trending as much as we can. And also, we had J.P. Richardson with the game of his season, 6 receptions, 107 yards, and a touchdown, I believe. That was his first touchdown of the year, which is kind of crazy to think about. Yeah, first touchdown of the year. There you go. Wait, no, am I reading that wrong? Yeah, first touchdown of the year. First receiving touchdown anyway. And the Frogs really dominating on the ground, which this is another thing that if you're a TCU fan who's been watching all year, You haven't seen TCU dominate on the ground. We didn't even dominate Long Island on the ground. And again, Arizona's not a great defense, right? Maybe the only run defense that's worse than ours, right, in this conference. But Frogs had a group effort. Savion Williams leading the way on the ground, 80 yards on 9 carries and 2 touchdowns. Got to highlight that touchdown there to end the first half. This is really the moment when the Frogs pull away, right? TCU is in this bizarre situation where Josh Hoover gets the intentional grounding, and it's 3rd and 25. And then you hit JP Richardson, who steps out of bounds to make it 4th and 1. And you're like, what? Why are we going for it? Why are we going for it on 4th and 1? We're in field goal range. Just kick the field goal. And then 20 seconds left in the half, Savion Williams breaks loose. It was blocked well, and he scores a touchdown. I'm going to shout out the other running backs, and then we got to shout out the guys who were paving the way for him. So we got Trent Battle, had himself a day. 6 carries, 28 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jeremy Payne, 3 carries, 27 yards, and a touchdown. Cam Cook, 6 carries, 20 yards, and a touchdown. Everybody gets a touchdown. You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. Great day for the running backs. Been a long time coming for all of them. And the offensive line looked good. I'm going to be really interesting to see when we have a fully healthy offensive line next year, and we have some of these younger guys have had another offseason to continue to develop. Does the offensive line look more competent as a whole next season? That's what we got to cross our fingers about. And cross our fingers that we get some of these defensive line pieces that are going to fill out. A lot of big recruits in the building for this game, specifically a 4-star JUCO defensive tackle, I know. Actually, 2 of them. So those are going to be pieces that when you pair them with a Marcus Deal, who was finally back from injury, and you saw his presence there in the middle, maybe next year, maybe we can start to be a little optimistic again. Lord knows I will. I always get optimistic by the time August rolls around. This one does not. She's not enjoying being a part of the show. She wants to get down. Okay, there you go. You can get down. So where was I? Okay. I mean, the game was what it was. Noah Fafita and Arizona just have really not had the season that they hope they'd have. They're going to miss a bowl game, 4-7 on the year. Frogs sitting at 7-4. I mean, there's only so many things you can say about. There's a dominant performance. TCU looked really, really great, and it's exciting. Here's what we need to talk about, and this is what, if anyone wants to hop in the chat or wants to call in. In fact, I forgot to put the call-in link. Here it is in the chat right now. If you want to call into the show, that is the link that you're going to want to hit on. Frogs have a very real possibility. I'm not convinced that TCU is going to beat Cincinnati, because that's going to be a tough game. It's going to be freaking freezing. Cincinnati's got a really good defensive line. They got a really good quarterback. I think Cincinnati is criminally underrated. So it's by no means a foregone conclusion that TCU is winning that game. But if the Frogs will finish 8-4, which they have a very real opportunity to do, you got to sit here as a TCU fan and ask yourself, okay, was this a successful season? Okay, and I want to know from you. Hit it in, throw it in the chat. Come call into the show. To you, is this a successful season for the Frogs? I feel like we have, especially with 8 wins, you've met the baseline expectation for what you as a TCU fan wanted out of the season. Certainly for me. I was going into the season, I was like, hey, there's going to be opportunities. Maybe we can compete for the Big 12 title, but 8 wins, 7 wins to me is like the bargain basement. Absolutely, like, okay, then I'm okay. But 8 wins is kind of what I'm expecting, right? And we have an opportunity to do that. Now, of course, that is all devoid of a lot of context of what the Big 12 has ended up looking like this season, right? The Big 12 has literally never been so wide open. It's been really fun to watch, right? But there's not any elite teams in this conference. And as a TCU fan, that's when you're sitting there saying to yourself, okay, why the heck didn't we win this conference, right? With as much talent as on this team, you should have been competing for Arlington, right? And to me, it's not that you lost 4 games, right? That in and of itself is not a deal breaker on this season. It is who you lost those 4 games to and how you lost those 4 games, right? That's what's got everybody upset, and rightfully so, right? And any year you're losing to SMU and Baylor and Houston all in the same year. I mean, let's be real, that sucks. That's not fun. as a TCU fan to lose those games. And Houston is one that you should not have lost, right? If you beat Houston, if you do what you're supposed to do against Houston, and you don't have the collapse of the decade against UCF, this team is playing in Arlington, right? Because, I mean, when you look at the SMU and Baylor games, are those the two teams that I want to lose to the absolute least year in, year out? Absolutely. But here's the deal. SMU's good this year. It tastes like vinegar coming out of my mouth, but SMU is good. And, you know, they beat us like a drum. Credit to them. That game, to me, does not impact perception of the success or failure of this season as much as a UCF or a Houston. Baylor, that's a rivalry game. Baylor won on a walk-off field goal, right? That's exactly what Vegas thought was going to happen, that Baylor was going to win basically on a walk-off field goal. And, you know, they hadn't done it. They hadn't beat us at home since 2014. It was about dadgum time for Baylor to win a game for us to continue to call this a rivalry. You know, those two suck, but they aren't disqualifying for this being a successful season, right? It comes down to, is 8-4 successful to you? It is an improvement, right? It's an improvement on last year. We're going to be in a bowl game, probably going to be in a pretty decent bowl game. Is this a successful year, or is it the fact that we lost to the teams that we did and the way that we lost that you're like, I'm still, I can't do it. I can't do it. It's too much for me. I think personally, you have to give all the credit in the world to this coaching staff and the way that they managed to turn this thing around. When we were sitting there at 3-3, I know if it was me in these shoes, I would be feeling the same way. If I was to say to you when we were sitting at 3-3, we're going to finish this season at 8-4, you'd say you're lying. There's absolutely no way. Right? But credit to the coaching staff. They've done it. Okay. All right. There's my mom. Hey, mom, this season has been better than I thought it would be. Okay. Well, there you go. See, so that by this metric, the season has been a success. I mean, look at this. We were picked 10th in the conference going into the season. We're going to finish a lot better than 10th, right? We were a couple of chaotic losses away from being in a bizarre tiebreaker scenario to get us into Arlington. All right, Dish Fish, good to see you in here. Given the way I felt after the Houston game, yes, this has been a successful season. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? The coaching staff deserves all the credit in the world for turning this thing around. And I know I have blown the trumpet for Kendall Briles this year before. He deserves so much daggum credit. He has coached his absolute tail off, okay? You can say a lot of things about Kendall Briles and the Briles family, but if we were just looking at this from a football perspective, he has done an amazing job this season. Amazing job. Manufacturing a run game with as inept as this offensive line has been at times, he deserves all the flowers in the world, right? The offense has been excellent. And next year, you've got an opportunity. If you get a lot of these pieces back and you get a Terry Shelton in, and you get another year of development for Eric McAllister, and you get another year of growth for this offensive line together as a unit, this offense can be elite next year. It truly can. You have Josh Hoover as a junior, right? A year older, a year wiser, a year stronger. You fill out that defensive line a little bit. Who, buddy? I mean, this is next year. Next year is the year when it's like, okay, put up or shut up. If we're not competing for a Big 12 title next year, there is a problem. Okay. And their questions need to be answered about that. So we're looking also into the postseason, right? And I won't divulge my source on this one, but I have it from a pretty reliable source that TCU is probably looking at a Texas Bowl berth against LSU or Arkansas. That fires me up, right? That is a great opportunity for a measuring stick game against a mid-tier SEC opponent. Both of those, I feel like Arkansas more than LSU, but both of those are very winnable games, especially LSU has been such a disaster the second half of the season. Lord knows they'll probably have half their team sitting out in a Texas Bowl situation against TCU. Great opportunity for not only another month of practice to continue to develop these guys, which is so huge, so massive for this team. You got an opportunity to make a statement win on a national stage against an SEC team. We all know how ESPN loves to talk about SEC teams in front of a lot of recruits down there in Houston, right? That is going to be such a huge deal, y'all. Huge, 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 huge. And it all is in part thanks to this win on Saturday, 49-28 over Arizona. Y'all, that's basically my entire show if nobody's going to call in. Okay. So, One other thing that I do want to make y'all aware of, Voice of College Football, just like this TCU channel, we're trying to launch team channels for every single team, at least in the Power Four, right? And the one that we are promoting right now is our Ole Miss channel. You know, hey, a lot of us TCU fans, we were beefing with Ole Miss fans on Twitter. But you know what? If that's your bag, hey, my mom's on here. You know, it's just my sister went to Ole Miss. Hotty toddy, gosh almighty. Send yourself down over there to the Ole Miss channel. Hit it, give it a subscribe. Right? Subscribe to the TCU channel. Subscribe to the Big 12 channel. Let's make this a movement. Let's make this an international thing, an experience. All right. Thanks y'all so much for tuning in. You know, go 8-4. The way things started out here, not a lot more that you can ask for. All right, not a lot at all. So again, please do subscribe to the Big 12 channel at Big 12 Voice of College Football. Subscribe to the TCU channel. Need to be more than just 4 of us. Subscribe to the TCU channel at TCU Voice of College Football. And make sure that you're tuning in every Tuesday night for the Biggest 12. That is let's be real. That's the showstopper, right? That's the thing that I know your week revolves around, okay? You're counting down the moments until the Biggest 12 comes back each week. So subscribe to the channel so you'll be there as a part of that. At Clint Foster Comedy, that's my YouTube channel, and at Clint_Foster55 on Twitter. Do give me a follow at both of those places. So until next week, when we're talking about a hopeful Frogs win over Conference USA rival Cincinnati, man, I love you. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. And go Frogs. Be around.